So yes, there should be another digital creator. Yes, there needs to be another coach. And so who do you think you are? Good
one. Who do you think you are? Hopefully good things, but if not, make an appointment with Brooke.
And check out Denise's content as you dive into the Bible, because you need both.
Please just hold your breath. Every door looks better when you keep it closed. Keep your head down and don't watch your step. No point in even trying now, just let it go. Maybe they will write the same for me. Maybe this was really just a dream. Don't wanna take that risk and try to see a 9 to 5 open security, I'm sure, but I can guarantee you that's no way to live. Way to live. Promise that's no way to live. Way to live.
Hi, friends. Welcome back to Prodigal Peas in a Pod. I'm Denise Acosta.
And I'm Brooke Ackerman.
And we are just glad you're back. So today we are going to dive into the fun topic of just myself and Brooke and what we do with our brands individually, just to give you a better background.
I don't like that you said just. Like somehow that was, not as interesting as the things we've talked about in the past.
I thought it would be fun because it's actually like really big, I feel like. So it would have just kind of like been the joke. Because it's not actually just, because it's cool stuff.
I agree, and I know that, but I don't know if they know that that's how you feel about it.
Now,
and knowing is half the battle.
Mm-hmm,
G.I. Joe! Mm-hmm. Did you not watch G.I. Joe when you were a kid?
Yes, I did. I know what you're talking about, but I'm usually like reading Rainbow. The more you know.
Oh, yeah. That's not reading Rainbow.
No, I know, but the more you know.
The star. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That one. That's the one that's in my head right now. So we are introducing ourselves a little bit more in depth since we've alluded to some things in other episodes. Hopefully we will give you a clearer picture on things in this episode.
Hopefully.
That's
the goal.
Yes.
Let's see if we meet our goal.
Yes. Because I squirrel a lot.
Oh, same.
Yeah. So good luck, friends. Let
us know
if you've mapped it out by the end of this episode. Please submit your lists so that we can use for future episodes. So these little, not scripts, but like topics that we use to help keep us on track at least. The little opening thing that I had for this one I thought was fun. People say we sound like we've shared a brain cell for quite some time. A single brain cell.
Yes.
Just one.
Yes. Between the two of us.
Mm-hmm, we share it.
Yes.
So sometimes Brooke uses it and sometimes I use it. And
sometimes neither of us is using it.
Yeah.
It just gets to.
We let it recharge.
Yeah.
So then for me, it's like monkeys in my brain and they're just like. And if you know me, you can attest to that.
Like the little symbols?
Yes,
the monkeys with the symbols?
That's exactly what I'm thinking of.
That's hilarious.
And then he's like sitting crisscross applesauce is the way we say it now. Mm-hmm. So that, and he's doing this. Yes.
Okay. So you have a monkey playing the symbols. What's happening in my brain whenever you're using the one brain cell? I don't think anything. I think it's just quiet. I think that's it.
Just peace and tranquility.
Yeah.
You're just in that Zen space.
Yes.
I love that. I love that for you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, yours is going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Until further notice.
That might explain some things.
Okay.
Anyway.
So, as you guys have to know by now, I have Misfit of Creation, and Brooke has
Blueprint, Heart and Mind Coaching.
So surely you've seen the links at the end of the episodes, and you've definitely heard us mention it before. We've teased it in episodes before and announcing the podcast how we have merged both of our brands to bring you this. So we'll take some time to dive into both of those. And I guess I'll start with Misfit,
Yay!
if that's all right with you.
Absolutely.
So what is Misfit? Who is it for? What do I do? A little bit of everything and a little bit of nothing, but always something.
I like it. A little bit of nothing, but always something. That needs to be on a t-shirt for sure.
Yay. Let's write it down because I'll forget.
Okay. I'll write it.
Okay, so the tagline for mine is SoulFood Ministry, and talked about it in the last episode for how that came to be, and that's still super fun. So the focus is on your soul, feeding your soul, encouraging deeper discipleship and growth in your relationship with God. So who is this for? For the overlooked, the doubting, the deconstructing, and the hungry-hearted. And not necessarily in the sense that other people actually feel this about you or us, and that's a true statement, but sometimes that may just be how we look at ourselves. And so I know I definitely have, and these are things that I have felt and struggled with and sometimes still do. So I've always felt that if things had just been explained to me before in a simple way that I can understand, then maybe I would have understood better and I would have made different choices and things might have looked a little different for me. So my intent with Misfit in all the things that I have created, whether it's a post, a reel, a devotional, or just any of the products that I have in the Etsy shop, are spiritual tools that you can use, whether you're just starting out or you're coming back or you're a seasoned believer. At this point, I got maybe close to 5 years of information that I've been intentionally trying to retain as I've gone about doing different things in ministry. So you'll find those things if you're just starting out, and you'll find things if you've been around for a long time, and you'll have read some stuff where I've examined some tougher questions through a different lens now than when I started. So while there are some videos, and there's now a community that's opened up in the Patreon app. So while I have that community there, one of the things that's neat about the way I have things currently set up for Misfit is I think on the skeptic. So I've been skeptical about a lot of things. And so learning about things on my own without other influences of this is the way, or you got to read it this way, and you have to interpret it that way. There are tools that'll help you navigate that on your own. Things that you may have been thinking about and what the Bible has to say about it. If you're concerned about whether or not the preacher you're listening to is the right one or not. And so you can just go at your own pace about things. And that's the idea behind those tools. There's also some templates in the Etsy shop for when you are doing your Bible study and how to get the most out of it. If you're doing prayer cards, if you're working on prayer boards or anything along those lines. But basically just to encourage you to dive deeper into a relationship with God and hopefully feel the same effects that I have, if not more, on the benefits of that and how much better life is and understanding what God really wants for us in our lives and using all the things that have happened in our lives for good, strengthening us, refining us, and all those wonderful things that don't feel so wonderful at the time. That was a mouthful. Did I miss anything? What is different about Misfit than any of the other brands that are out there? I'm not really out here looking to be the brand that stands apart from everyone. I'm just me. I'm just sharing based on my journey, my story. And if you can relate to any of that, or if any of those tools are helpful, then that's good enough for me. If it just helps one person, then I feel like I have done my job. I'm not worried about a #1 rating. I'm just trying to share what helped me and pay it forward that way.
So for anybody who, let's just say this is the first episode that someone is catching, which if that's true,
Please
thank
go
you.
back. There's more.
Yeah, welcome. But
Yes.
you might want to, we're not too far in. You can go back and catch the first few. But for anybody, if this is their first time or maybe they zoned out in the previous episodes and didn't quite catch everything, how about explain why Misfit of Creation? How did that name, that idea come about for you?
I guess that goes in a little bit to my testimony. So I became intentional about my faith 4 to 5 years ago. I think I'm like in the middle. That cost me 4.5 years ago. I need to remember that date so I can start celebrating. Can I celebrate the start when I was just starting? I don't know. Anyway.
Absolutely. You can celebrate whatever you want.
Because it's a journey, right? So where I am today, yes. Even where I am today is definitely not where I was when I first walked in to being intentional about my faith. And it's probably not going to be the same today as it will be 10 years from now. It could look very, very different. And so I felt a lot of things in that time. The best thing is learning and understanding God better and being able to hear from God, what that looks like, things to focus on, and what doesn't sound like God, to be able to discern the difference. And I come from a very eclectic background, messy background. And so when I started coming to church intentionally, because I've actually been coming to this church for about 10 years, I felt like I didn't quite fit the traditional mold for what a devout Christian looks like. You walk into a classroom and almost everyone, because it's not always, but it feels like almost everyone has been reading this Bible since they were like in the womb. And so they're sharing things, and it says this in Isaiah, and I don't know, because in John it said this, you know what I mean? And I'm just sitting there like, And actually, there's a fun story. I remember when I first came into my group, and we were reading in the book of, was it Ruth? I don't know where. Maybe. I can't remember now. Anyway, so we're reading out loud in group, and I can read. So I was like, all right, I'll read the next passage. And I remember reading it out loud and being like, blah, 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 Oprah, blah, blah, blah. And I kept going, right? And everybody's just quiet and listening. And I'm thinking into my head, I wonder if Oprah was named after this person in the Bible. Like, I should look into that later, because that's crazy. And then the next person went to read, and they're like, blah, 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 Orpah. And I'm like, wow, like a little obvious that it's my first day. I felt very silly, but they were all very kind and didn't make fun of me for it. We just kept going and we moved on. So anyway, as I meet more people, there's a lot of people that have that kind of a background, that grew up in church and they understood what they read in the Bible. And so they started following things that way, or at least seemingly. And so they're certain way about them sometimes, and how they talk and what they refrain from, because we're not supposed to do that. And I did all those things, right? So I'm like the black sheep coming in. I'm that black sheep. That's what I felt like. So as I'm learning, trying to do things, I was really grateful to have better understanding and seeing that transformation in my heart and what God was trying to do. But at the same time, while they were accepting of me, I still always felt very different. I felt like no matter what table I sat at, even though they were kind, I just didn't really quite fit. And if I shared something from my past or just life, I felt like I was getting the deer in headlights look. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, okay. So there's no feedback. They're just kind and listening. And I'm just like, all right, you definitely have no idea what I'm talking about. So, I mean, good for you, but also, okay, I guess I'm stuck here. Maybe come to me later for understanding. And so I felt like a misfit. So a misfit of creation. And it was hard on me for a while, because I started feeling like there are things about me that I should probably change then, because if nobody else is like that, then maybe I shouldn't be like that. And that included aspects of my personality. And that was very hard for a while. That was a lot to wrestle with and struggle with, because if God made me this way, then why is it bad? Why do I have to change that? And having those conversations with God, he started answering that prayer, and he started just sending a ton of misfits my way. I feel like that started about over a year ago now. And I've been meeting more and more people where I'm like, oh, okay. Like this one over here. And I'm like, oh, there are more of us. That's awesome. Okay, cool. You get what I'm talking about, where I was coming from, and like what we're doing now about stuff, and how those things about me that God had made me unique in that way. And it was on purpose, intentionally. He didn't make a mistake. It was helpful. And so that's what I'm trying to do with Misfit, not just in sharing a ton of information on how to get closer to God or what that looks like, and prayer and all those wonderful things, but an invitation to come as you are. And no matter what your background is, it doesn't mean you can't come to God, or you have to meet some checklist before you meet him, because God meets you where you are, and he created you a certain way. You have your own blueprints. And yeah, so we are the way we are for reasons. One of those reasons is it opens up a different or more demographics to reach than maybe somebody else would be able to. So working together collectively is the best way that we can help advance his kingdom. So yeah, that was also a mouthful. But that's how Misfit got started. So I wanted that to be the focus, that anyone can come to the table. There's a seat for everyone at the table.
And in the pod.
Yes, in the pod. Come join us. What about you, Brooke? Tell us about Blueprint.
Okay, so Blueprint. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but you really set me up for talking about Blueprint with what you were saying at the end there about Misfit of Creation.
God set us up, because that's why this podcast is so awesome now.
That's what it is. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So yes, Blueprint. That name, that idea, God gave me that idea. Oh, geez, I don't know, several years ago now. And that's so fun to say that I've been doing this for a couple of years. Like it's been three years, I think.
I love it.
Yeah, so fun. But before I had even really considered doing a coaching practice, John and I, hi, John.
Hi.
John's my husband, for those who may not already know that. We were at a retreat in Colorado and had nothing to do with coaching, counseling, any of that, but it had to do with our relationship with God. And we were attending a retreat by an organization who has been just unbelievably influential in our walk with Jesus. And so I don't know if it was because my heart was more open to it. I don't know what it was, but I felt like the idea got dropped into my brain that we all have an original design. We all have a blueprint. And a lot of the struggles that we each have has to do with that the blueprint has gotten distorted. It's not that we need to be different, because God, like Denise said, God designed each of us exactly the way he wanted us. And so rather than changing who I am, it's more the idea of examining what has gotten distorted. And so the idea that I often have in my mind when I talk about blueprint is that there is an actual blueprint on a table, like it's actually sitting on the table, and through life, different things get piled on top of the blueprint. You stack a book that you finished reading, your keys are there, your wallet's there, a bag, it's just all the clutter that can get stacked on a flat surface. And rather than changing who we are, rather than changing that blueprint, what we need to do is excavate or get rid of the stuff, all the distortions that have gotten piled on top of it. And it's really become not just an idea behind my coaching practice, but it's really a paradigm. It's the lens through which I see God, myself, the world, other people, because while each of us is unique, we all have in common that we each have a blueprint, and every one of us at some point or another the blueprint has gotten distorted, whether it's from the enemy, whether it's from life circumstances, the way others have treated us, the way that we've treated ourselves. And so uncovering the stuff, the junk that's gotten piled on top, gets us back to original design so that we can be more who God intended us to be when he created us. And Denise, I like what you were saying before about how your goal is to not be, get a number one rating, and not that you don't stand out, because that's the thing, is that what you're doing stands out because it's you doing it. And I feel the same thing about Blueprint, is that I don't need to make a point to do what I'm doing differently than how other people are doing, because that's just already going to happen. Because there are a lot of people who are out there being digital creators and who are doing the same kinds of things that you're doing, but they're doing it the way they do it, and you're doing it the way you do it. And there are all kinds of people out there counseling and coaching, and I don't want to do it the way that they're doing it. I'm doing it the way God has designed me to do it. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about in it is that while I have a faith foundation, and while that's the lens that I see through, that doesn't mean that I will only work with people who also have a faith foundation. I've talked with individuals who God's just not a part of their life, and my job is not to convert them. I will have conversations with whatever client wants to come talk to me about who they are and the things that have happened in their life, because that's the common foundation. Is even if you don't have a faith foundation, I'm operating off of one, but you still have an original design. You still have a purpose and an intention that only you can carry out in the world. And if you don't see that through a spiritual lens, that's okay, because the blueprint still exists, whether you think the blueprint came from a higher spiritual being or not. And so we each have still gotten things distorted in our blueprints. And so I coach anyone from the age of 12 all the way up to, I'm not going to say the age of my oldest client because some people are sensitive about that kind of thing.
Hashtag respect.
But what I do want my clients to walk away thinking and feeling is that their story matters. And each of us, while we have our lived experience, our story is not always an accurate version. The things that have happened in our stories could be telling us a version of our story that isn't entirely 100% truth, because the way that we've experienced things and the hurt that we have experienced, our pain tells us a story that isn't always what God intended. And it's not always the story that was our original design. And so while your story does matter, there have been some things that have gotten off track a little bit. And so that's what I do, is I help people recognize the places where they've gone off track, and we get back on track, whether it's through a spiritual lens or not.
So book an appointment, y'all. Instructions on how to do that will come after this episode. Ooh. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that you help anyone, whether you have a spiritual background or not, whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, because we all have our own kind of journey and how life happens for us and how we view ourselves. So I think I'm just glad you mentioned that, because if there is anyone listening and you are struggling with that, she is definitely a great resource to reach out to and work on that together. Something that for Misfit at least, I welcome anybody, right? But specifically in just what I'm doing, that is also a goal of mine, to create content that someone who has no background or history or like knowledge of things would be able to read and understand, and then work through that on your own with God on your own time kind of thing. So just back to the simplifying things, really.
There's a lot about your content that I like, but one of the things is I feel like it's very inviting. It's because of what you've experienced. You don't have to have a seminary degree. You don't have to have read the Bible 27 times all the way through to be able to access what you have created. There's stuff there for people who have had a long history with the Bible or in their relationship with God, but you also have a lot of things that I feel like it's an easy entry point. It's an easy on-ramp for people, whether they're not really sure or they have questions. The way that you've designed everything, I feel like you reach a wide audience. And so that's
Yay.
Absolutely needed.
That is a goal. Yay.
Go check out her stuff.
Oh, we didn't plan that, guys.
We really didn't.
We just really support what the other person is doing.
Honestly, okay. So I was telling my husband yesterday, because it was something that you had texted me, and then it was something else that somebody had sent to me recently. One of the things about doing this podcast together and merging, I mean, while your brand is your brand and mine, there are some common overlaps, but they're still very individual. But one of the things that has been incredibly healing for me is that there is no competition. Of course, there's no competition because you're digital and I'm counseling and coaching. It's not that. It's just, I truly want you to succeed and you truly want me to succeed, and whatever that means. But there has not been a lot of that in my life, in relationships, in different people trying to do something, move something forward. And it's been really helpful to feel like someone is 100% in my corner, and there's no feeling of I have to withhold something. I don't know. I don't really quite have the words for it entirely, but it's just been, I can tell something is shifting in me. There's something in me that's telling younger me that this is okay and this is safe, and that there is no need to feel any sort of competition. And it's just, that's not happened a lot in my life. So thanks.
It's very refreshing is the word that, at least how I feel about it too. Not having that competition, but it's more of a collaboration. Mm-hmm. And so we had a sermon series recently at church, the whole "We're Better Together." And I fully believe that, because I know in my moments, because we're all still going to have struggles no matter what. at some point we're going to be doubting ourselves or just some situation. There's going to be obstacles. And to be able to have someone in your spiritual corner to help walk you through that, or encourage you, or if I need to spin ideas off, I have that. And it's not, you don't have that competition where it's like, oh, you're struggling there. That's too bad. Or, oh, because this other content creator, or whatever, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just, I feel like another confirmation that we are doing what we have been called to do.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is that you know who God has designed you to be to the best of your ability right now, because it's always changing.
Yes.
But you know who he designed you to be and what he's designed you for. Same for me. And so there is no need for competition, because you're doing it the way you do it and I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. And why would we not support each other? Like you said, we're better together.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. So more on that subject, collaborating and working together, being better. So while they are different things that we are doing, we ultimately have the same goal of wanting to help people. And maybe that end goal looks a little different, and at times they'll overlap. So there are different ways in how we do things. I would say for me, mine is a little bit more of, you're like a self-starter, or you're reading things on your own, learning things on your own, versus Brooke here, who you can actually meet with and have those real-time conversations. And just have better direction, I guess, a little more guidance in real time. And so I think that's just could be a difference in how we're doing things.
Yeah, I think, I can't remember, one of the previous episodes, I was talking about how when you were a kid, one of the things that we both had in common is that we wanted to be teachers. And I was telling you how what you are creating is a way of teaching, that you are creating scaffolding for people to do more of an independent dive into the Bible or into their faith, and not that they couldn't contact you through your Etsy shop or ask questions about what you're creating. What you're doing is really, you are front loading people with resources so that they can then have a place to jump off of, or as they're continuing their journey, have these things that they can use along the way. And one of the things, and again, similar, but in a different, like the how is different, is that I sit with people one-on-one, whether it's in person or virtual, and we dig into the things that are going on in their lives, the things that have happened along their journey. And so then, like you said, it's a kind of a real-time conversation of this thing happened, how it felt, the thoughts that you had when this thing happened, lies that got in there. And I feel like the scripture side of it that you're doing and the conversations that I do with people, it's like if they blend and cross paths, then it's the total package.
It's the supplements, the vitamins and supplements. I should do a series.
Vitamins and supplements?
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it too. But also more on the standing out from everybody else out there. There's so many different kinds of people. We think different ways. We understand things different ways. We learn different ways. Some people like blue, some people like purple, whatever it is. That's why there's a lot of us out here just doing what we do, because we can only do it how we do it best. And maybe that's how you need to hear it. Maybe that's how a certain person out there needed to hear it that certain way, and it resonated with them, and that clicked, and that sparked interest, and now they're looking to dive deeper into things.
So along the line of, even though we do things that are different, but there is some overlap, have there been times where you have felt like you weren't really sure, is this what you should be doing, or if this is how you should be doing the things that you're doing? Was there ever any hesitancy or doubt or questions?
So many. So many. It's probably why it took me a while to formally launch too.
I don't know what that's like at all. Taking a long time before you finally just go, okay, I'm going to do it. Yeah, that must be tough for you. Didn't happen for me for over a year at all. It's fine. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that had to do with who I was walking in, remembering where I was when I started and how that could have been perceived. So I've done quite a bit of healing. Still a ton left to get through. I think I was very worried about what other people were going to say. I came from a very fun background, very messy background, and I still keep in contact with a lot of those same friends, family. They all know me from years ago to now. And so to walk in and be like, hey guys, I'm going to do this godly Christian thing. And I felt like I was going to get so much backlash for it. Oh, okay. I remember when you did fill in the blank. I fill that in with a ton of things. So I would sit there and be like, who am I to be doing this kind of stuff, to be saying these kinds of things, and to be advising or teaching when I'm still learning? One thing I have come to really hold on to is you can't get better at something until you start. And that same logic I've used in the different ministries that I have since been a part of and helped out with. And so I had learned a ton from my other business. So I took those practical tools into this, which helped a little bit. But I let all those voices really, really cloud my motivation to go ahead and be live about it, to put my name behind it. Okay, you can launch the brand and then just don't say it's you doing it. But oh my gosh, I had so many thoughts. But yeah, and then the whole, I'm 4.5 years into being intentional, which maybe sounds like a lot. It's really not, because I didn't, like, day 2, I wasn't just fully knowledgeable and then we're working off of that. There's a lot of learning in there and still a lot to learn. I just felt like I wasn't ready. Like I needed to know more. I needed to have read the Bible at least 3 times before I can start doing these things. I definitely felt, what's the word I'm looking for?
Unqualified?
Yeah. And I felt like I was going to be misunderstood. Oh, she thinks she's better than everyone now that she's doing this. And that's not the case at all. Because what I want is, if there's anyone else that felt like me before, then there's hope out there. It doesn't have to be that way. Everything we thought we knew was actually not correct. And all those ridiculous headlines that you read and memes about Christianity, that's actually not really the case most times. I guess I ended up getting that nudge, and you don't want to disobey God, when there's too many confirmations that that's what I needed to do. And by then I was like, okay, well, God, you put this in me, so I guess we'll figure it out. And if people call me out for things, then so be it. And I guess you'll let me know how to answer those things. And I actually never ended up having that happen to me at all. Mm-hmm. And if somebody felt that way, I didn't know about it. They didn't tell me about it. I ended up getting quite a bit of support when I launched too. But I definitely was unsure.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Lots of similarities there. The question of who do you think you are, trying to help people, that one still comes up.
Yeah.
Still tries to rear its ugly head.
Well, tell me more about that.
Whenever that voice, the who do you think you are, comes up, a very good friend of mine, again, so helpful. She said,
this Polly?
It is Polly. I wasn't going to mention her, but yes, why not?
It. Okay.
Yeah, she said, change the tone, because whenever I hear that voice, it's, who do you think you are? One time she said to me, who do you think you are? And just that little shift, and I was like, oh, obviously some of the lies I'm believing are I'm not qualified. And same thing, there are some things in my story, who's going to want to come talk to somebody who's, I had a marriage prior to this one. I got divorced. Who's going to want to come talk to someone who, if they have trouble in their relationships or their marriages, why would they come talk to somebody who's been divorced? But I can tell you, there's been a lot of healing since that relationship. And so I do have some things to offer there. And so who do you think you are? I am somebody who has navigated some pretty tough things in their life. And I am somebody who has held on to God through those tough things. And I have grown and I have changed and I've learned a whole lot. And so who do you think you are is that person. And so of course I have something to offer. And that was a huge shift for me because, yeah, I felt the same thing. Do we really need another person out there counseling and coaching? Do we really need another person doing that? And again, I'm doing it the way God has designed me to do it. And so I'm going to reach people that other coaches and counselors aren't going to reach. And they're doing it the way God has designed them to do it. And so they will reach people that I'm not going to reach or that somebody else isn't going to reach. Really, the world needs all of us doing the things that God is asking each of us to do. Because you're the only you in the world. And that's what the world needs. I'm the only me. And that's what the world needs. And we need all of us doing the things the way that we've been uniquely designed and wired to do them. So yes, there should be another digital creator. Yes, there needs to be another coach. And so who do you think you are? Oh, such a good read. Yeah, such a reframing. Good one.
Who do you think you are? Hopefully good things, but if not, make an appointment with Brooke.
And check out Denise's content as you dive into the Bible, because you need both. You need community, and you need God, and you need scripture, and you need all of it. You need all of it.
And in your style, keep your style. Don't change that. Don't try to fit that mold. That's the biggest mistake that I could have tried to do. Be you, because no one is youer than you. Wasn't that a Dr. Seuss book or something?
That sounds like something he
I
would
think
have said.
so.
Yeah.
Maybe The Cat in the Hat.
I don't know.
Good books, by the way. I recommend.
10 out of 10.
Yes.
Dr. Seuss.
Yes. So more on the style aspect, right? So we can have confidence behind or in front of a camera, and then there's some of us that don't and squirm, and it's ugh, I'm so awkward. Cue back to episode 1. I feel like it's so obvious on that one. But anyway.
I don't think it was obvious.
Anything about your personality and just your style and how you do things, if you're not feeling super confident about it, if that's what you're being called to do it anyway, because God can use all of it. He will use all of it.
Yes.
And you're going to be able to reach people that Brooke and I might not be able to. So if you are thinking about doing something, just do it. Just do it already. Yes. I'm going to end on that one.
Just do it already.
And tag us so we can follow you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That would be so fun
Yeah.
to see all the things that you all are up to.
Yeah. And if you already are doing something, let us know too.
Yeah.
We want to know all the things.
There's
what are you guys doing?
Room in the pod for everyone.
Yes.
And all
everyone.
the creative endeavors.
Mm-hmm. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Also, remember to follow us, like, subscribe, all those things on your socials. And let us know in the comments if there's anything specific that has been encouraging or that speaks out to you more. Maybe there's a topic you'd like us to dive into more that would be helpful. We would be happy to.
And you can reach us at prodigalpeas@gmail.com also. If
We have an email.
We do have an email.
Be our first email.
Hopefully we have an email before now.
That's true. I hope so.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
You never know.
Perhaps. Send us memes.
Denise and I send each other memes all the time. I feel like most of our communication is a meme
Memes.
or
Memes. It's a love language for sure.
So if this is your first time tuning in or your 7th time tuning in, this is episode 7?
I think so.
Episode 7. We just want to thank you for hanging out with us in the pod, and hopefully you'll join us next time for another episode of Prodigal Peas in a Pod. I'm Brooke. She's Denise. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to our podcast, Prodigal Peas in a Pod. I'm not sure how you found us today, but just want to make sure you know all the platforms we are on. And those are Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Amazon Music.
And if you would like to reach us directly, you can send us an email at prodigalpeas@gmail.com.
So since this podcast is a merge of both of our brands, mine is Misfit of Creation. And if you're looking to get more information on that, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, and the Etsy shop, which is where you can find all those downloadable tools and products.
And if you'd like to find out more about my coaching practice, you can find me at blueprintheartandmind.com, where I have a blog, totally free. Come check it out. And you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. See you next time.
Bye.
I think I get it now. I need to be myself because a copycat can only do so well. In love with everything that makes me who I am. Don't need a backup plan. I hope they understand that I'm doing better today. I got me a mission, I got some fruition. You down to stay out the way. Can't seek validation from people who hating. I got my mentality straight. Shout out to God, I've been keeping the first. He's been working and paving the way. And now I can guarantee you that's the way to live.
Yeah, I think that's
Am I ending?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do it. Do it.
Oh my gosh.